Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my review of The Serpent episode 8, the final episode of the BBC and I believe also Netflix television series The Serpent. So, The Serpent episode 8, the grand finale, everything has been building to this, and this is the episode that's going to reveal what happened in the end and how Charles Sobergy and his associates were caught, arrested and incarcerated, and everything around that. And it's going to wrap up all of the stories over the course of the series. So, what do I think of this episode? This episode is absolutely fantastic. Once again, the team on behind this series they've done a fantastic job. They've managed to pull it out of the bag. They've given us a brilliant finale. I won't say it's the best episode of the series, but it's a damn brilliantly satisfying finale, which is what we wanted. So the plot of this episode sees Hermann and Interpol continuing the investigation into Charles after he and Marie have escaped from France and are now living in Delhi in India. However, they get a bit reckless as one of their associates that they pick up a couple of new associates, but one of them robs Marie and then goes to the police to then basically spill the beans on them. Meanwhile, Charles gets a bit reckless when he tries to poison a whole group of university students and rob them. But from what I can see in the episode, it appears that he might have gone not gone a bit too far, but he might have lost his touch. He came pretty close to being noticed. Even if the police hadn't arrived and arrested him at the very moment he was about to leave, I think he still would have been noticed. So I think he's got a little bit reckless with that. We also see in some of these scenes with Charles and Marie in Delhi that that's it. Their relationship is over. They completely hate each other now. There's no point of return for these two. Their relationship is over. They no longer love each other. They're basically just together because they're wanted together across the world, so they have to hide together. But eventually, Marie just doesn't fight. She just gives up. When the police come for them, she just gives up. But Charles continues to attempt his claim of innocence, but Marie makes a complete confession, basically betraying Charles. But to be honest, after all she's been through and after everything that's happened, I can kind of see why. And in honesty, she didn't really kill anybody herself. She was partly responsible, of course. She was implicated. She was the accomplice, but she never personally herself killed anybody. And seeing the series partly from her perspective makes her kind of a bit sympathetic. Yeah, she was a bit of a villain, quite a bit of a villain even, but she was also quite sympathetic and kind of trapped in this relationship, toxic relationship later on in life when things started to go sour between the two. So I'm kind of glad that when she does get cancer 7 years into her prison sentence, she is allowed to go home to die in Quebec, Canada. So I'm glad she got to die in Canada at home after 2 years after her released, allowed to go home to die. So, I mean, I don't know if I'd say she deserved to die, but I guess it's better that she died from cancer at home than being executed. Although India doesn't seem to have the death penalty, well, at least not for these crimes anyway. That being said, as she was implicated and involved in these cases, it is still so satisfying to see her captured first before the satisfactory revelation of her going home to die. As for Charles, very satisfying having him captured and kept incarcerated in India. And the last half hour basically just sees him and what happens to him for the rest of his life after his capture and everything that happened. We see the interview in Nepal, and then not in Nepal, in France, and then he goes to Nepal where he's captured, and thanks to some more help from Hermann, he is able to be incarcerated in Nepal for the crimes he committed there. Unfortunately, he managed to escape justice in Thailand, as he was incarcerated in India for so long that the warrant for him in Thailand ran out, and he was not able to attend court, so he would not be claimed guilty. Through his calculations, able to escape in captive in India, and then get recaptured so he can spend longer time and a longer sentence in India so that he can avoid being transferred to Thailand where he would be executed. So he managed to live out a bit longer. But whilst he managed to escape justice in Thailand, he served a longer time in India, and then he got captured in Nepal once they got the evidence in. And currently he's still residing in a Nepal prison. So Sabaj is currently incarcerated for his crimes. As for Hermann's story, that's wrapped up pretty nicely. Although it is a shame to hear that he and Angelus split up. Although initially I thought they'd split up a bit sooner, sometime after she went home to visit her parents, and then maybe they split up a little bit afterwards. But according to the final text at the very end, apparently they were still together for about another 13 odd years, if the main bulk of the story takes place in 1976, and they split in 1989. So I guess for about 13 odd years, they were together still before splitting. So at least they were still together for that long before they split. It is also disappointing to hear that Nadine and Rennie, after everything they went through, they got divorced at some point over the last 45 years or so, which is a shame. The good news is they managed to live out long lives. There wasn't really anything in the text saying if anybody else died in the past 45 years since the end of the case. So I guess everyone besides Marie is probably still alive. AJ is mentioned to just have disappeared. He's off the map, so we could probably assume he's either dead or he'll die at some point. That's probably the only disappointing thing, is that we don't know more about AJ, but besides one apparently sighting in Germany, that's it. But that actually adds a sense of mystery. That's actually quite intriguing. What happened to AJ? That's quite interesting, even if it's unsatisfactory to not know what happened to him. But it's an interesting story. What happened to him? I guess he kind of got away scot-free, but then again, depends what did happen to him. But besides Marie, no one's said to have died in the last 45 years. No one involved in the case who weren't any of the victims. So some of them might still be alive, if not all of them. But many of the ones involved in trying to catch us, Charles Sobergy, went on to live happy lives, minus the divorces. But yeah, so it's satisfying to know that the good guys, they all got happy endings, minus the divorces, and only one of the villains kind of got away with it. But even then, we don't exactly know what happened to them. So maybe they died, maybe they committed suicide, maybe they were captured somewhere. We don't know. maybe they've come to terms with what they've done. Maybe they watched this miniseries and realized, God, I was a fucking cunt, wasn't I? Except a lot worse. But the result for what happened to Charles and Marie, incredibly satisfying. Marie, it's satisfying to know on a sympathetic and also a hatred side, so both sides of the coin, sympathizing with her and also hating her at the same time. So her outcome is satisfying for both sides, and Charles's outcome is incredibly satisfying. The rest of the episode is also really great and continues to be greatly filmed and edited, and the actors do a fantastic job. The tension is still really great, and it just works really well, and it's just a great episode. And it's interesting to see Charles has gotten a new group of associates. We don't really know what happened to them. We could probably just assume that they were charged with theft and drug taking in India, got maybe some shorter sentences, perhaps maybe got out. They would not be charged with killing anybody or beyond maybe being associated with the killings, perhaps. Although one of the girls might have put a poison thing into someone's thing, I'm not sure. The guy who rattled them out probably may have gotten a short prison sentence for his involvement, but probably would have received the shortest sentence due to his cooperation with the police, maybe even being pardoned, or at least due to his cooperation. So this episode brings the series to an incredibly brilliant end. It wraps up the story really well, and we get some really great and satisfying conclusions to this series. And to the real life stories. So overall, I will be giving The Serpent episode 8, you guessed it, a 10 out of 10. Yeah, this is an incredibly satisfying episode, and it wraps up the series so well, and gives us all the historical information that we wanted to know at the very end once it was all wrapped up, and all of the post-event stuff, and it was really well handled and really great. Oh god, this was such a great episode, and this was such a great series. What an incredible series. Before we finish this review, I just wanted to give a couple of shout outs to John Michael Fink, Miss C, KPZCBTTP, and Favourless Film for commenting on at least one of the reviews of episodes 1 to 7 of this series. Thank you for at least one comment on at least one of those 7 reviews, with John Michael Fink providing at least one comment on every of the first 7 reviews. And thank you to anybody who comments down below for this review and for the upcoming ranking. This is just the people who have commented as of the 15th of February 2020, before I started recording about 13 minutes ago. So thank you to all of you who have commented on at least one review of the Serpent episodes 1 to 7, and thank you to anyone who comments down below in this review's comments and in the comments for the ranking, as well as future commenters on all of these reviews and the ranking. Special thanks to John Michael Fink for at least one comment on each of the first 7 reviews. And even bigger thank you if you comment on this review and the ranking. So that's it from my review of the Serpent episode 8, and that's basically it from this series, but we've got one more video to go before we can wrap up, and that is, of course, the ranking. I will be ranking all 8 episodes of this series, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. The final episode of the BBC, I think BBC Netflix television miniseries. So, the plot of this episode sees Hermann helping, but I think from what we see in the episode, he might have gone a bit. Okay, but one more. There's no point of that's it. There's no. So they're basically just there because they have to be together. So, so I'm kind of so in order so, which makes me kind of, which then gives. But it is still before then the satisfactory information of her going home before the satisfaction. As for Charles, yeah, very satisfactory. He might also have managed to escape the death penalty if they. I don't know if they rid of the. I'm not sure if they got rid of the death penalty as well, but if they did, he may have also managed to escape that, and that was so. Yeah, we've got ourselves. So there we go. However, the good news is they are still alive, and or at least they managed to live out. As for everybody else, I think no one said. But yeah, this is. But yeah, this is an incredibly sad. So overall, I will be giving the Serpent episode 8. You guessed it, a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna do that again. And thank you to anybody who comments down in episode 8. Special thank you to John Michael Fink for commenting on every episode, every review. Special thanks to John Michael Fink for making at least one. Sorry. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you for the ranking, and then we will be done with. That's basically it from this series. But first, we've got. And that's basically the end of this series. But we've got one more video to do. Fuck.